At this point, I want us to really begin to deepen our breath. We're going to take this time to fill ourselves with as much oxygen as possible, allowing the breath to go wherever it's going to go naturally, just deepening it. And remembering that this is the opportunity for us to listen to our spirit, right? Meditations have different intentions depending on the situation, the moment. And for us right now, we're trying to just listen. But we're going to honor our thoughts, which is why I said if you feel the need to have something to write with, if that's where your mind is, you still want to be able to pull out those thoughts or just to have the freedom, right? So right now we're gonna be grounding ourselves in space and time. For those of you who have been doing the 7-day challenge, I want you to fill yourself with acknowledgement for the accomplishment of doing this 7-day challenge, taking care of yourself. Right? We've been putting a lot of energy into our body. We've really been grounding ourselves in our bodies for the last 7 days. And right now, I want you to know that everything is by invitation. Okay, so any practice, any expression that I call forth, just know that it's an invitation and just listen to your spirit. If it doesn't resonate with you, feel free to do whatever feels right for you in that moment, okay? So it's all by invitation. And the invitation begins with us stepping out of time. So I'm inviting us to use our breath to elevate and really to remove ourselves from time and step into eternity. Right? Acknowledging that the moment that we're in right now is perfect. No matter how we feel, no matter what's going on around us, what's happening in life, this moment is perfect. Okay? The moment that I'm in right now is perfect. If you feel comfortable and called, I want you to actually say that and put that vibration out. We're going to be synchronizing right now with our vibration. Right? The power that we have to manifest or to womb-nifest in this material dimension begins with our vibration. And we know our thoughts are vibration. And the next level of making that tangible transition into the material realm is the sound vibration. The moment that I'm in right now is perfect. I want you to say that. The moment that I'm in right now is perfect. I'm going to take a deep inhale in together here through the nostrils. And we're going to exhale slowly. The next inhale, I want you to think about filling the space that the mind has the inclination to just think about the past or to think about the future or anything that's not right now. We're going to allow our breath to fill that void as we're removing the past, transcending. The breath is going to fill us. And bring us to now. Okay. This next inhale, I want you to inhale all the intentions that you have for seeding for this new cycle that we're beginning in this new moon. In exhaling, I want you to release anything that hasn't served you, that's not serving you, anything that you want to release. We're going to inhale again, more deeply into our intentions, really visualizing what that looks like, what that feels like, holding that breath at the top. And then exhaling slowly through the nose. And this next inhale, we're pulling all of that energy in, calling it into us, knowing that we're magnetic in our intentions. And we're going to exhale through our mouth. We're going to do one more breath in together. And on your exhale, you're going to release in whatever way feels best for you. Just really let it all out. I'm going to invite you, if your eyes are closed, to allow them to trickle open. I want you to look at this symbol that is on the screen. And some of you, most of you may be familiar with this symbol. This symbol is the Ankh. It's known as many different things, the key of life. And right now, because we're really gonna pull on the wisdom of our ancestors, of humanity's ancestors, our ancestors who established civilization in the Nile Valley, right, in present day Sudan and Egypt, in the land that they called Kemet. And we're gonna remember through this vibration a time where there was no time, where we were truly resonating in eternity. And that's what this symbol represents when we think of life, right? The symbol represents the womb at the top in that opening, the phallic principle giving the stability at the base, and the arms that are extending out are the children, and the continuity that comes from the unity of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And we're gonna honor that we have both energies, both masculine and feminine, indwelling within us, within our spirits. We're gonna honor that our soul is eternal. And we're gonna allow this trinity and this unification of the past, the future, and the present, right? The now, that eternity, to come into our space through our breath. We're still honoring our thoughts. If there's any lingering thoughts there, as we're moving them out, we're gonna fill that space with breath, with air, with the spirit that connects us to all things. We're gonna remember that we are continuity, that we are connected. And on this next breath, we're gonna inhale, we're gonna exhale. And coming out of stillness, we're gonna move a little bit. We're gonna move our shoulders back. We're gonna remove any tension that we might feel in our body. Allow ourselves to relax. If that means you need to do a little bit of a neck roll, going around in one direction slowly, remembering to allow your breath to move with you, and then roll in the other direction. As we come back around, we position ourselves with our shoulders a little more loose, allowing gravity to really pull us down, but still allowing the energy that's flowing through our spine, up through our crown, to pull us up to Nut, the cosmic heavens, right? And I'm inviting us to synchronize as a collective, all of us that are coming together in this space to share this moment, in this meditation, with the vibration, a hesi, as our ancestors would call it, or a hekau, words of power, sounds of power. And we're going to use this most ancient vibration, right? It's going to be Om. Right? That's just to give us a flow of how we're gonna synchronize. If anyone doesn't feel comfortable or doesn't feel called to use that vibration, feel free to just hum in this moment, but we really want to be intentional about creating vibration. And the sole intention of this vibration, right? We have the sole dominion and authority over our bodies, over our spirits. We're not calling in any energy that doesn't serve our highest good. Okay? So you're going to allow this vibration to protect, to nourish, and to deepen you into your own self. Deepen us into our womb space, into eternity. Okay? We're going to inhale, and then we're going to do our together. Inhale. Take a deep inhale and exhale. I want us to really sink into the consciousness of the power of this vibration, right? Knowing that this vibration allows us to transcend ourselves and our circumstances, okay? I want us to really be conscious of that, no matter what is happening, however our life is speaking to us right now. We're going to use this vibration to transcend and to sink into our wombs and into eternity. Really honoring our spirits in this breath. I'm going to take an inhale. Inhale, release. We're going to do 1/3 and final vibration or a hum. If you feel more comfortable with the hum, but really making sure that we're really creating that vibration from within. Remembering that the womb is the creative center, right? It is our creative center that we're pulling from. And we're honoring our ability to create and vibrate into this experience. I'm going to take another inhale in, remembering this trinity, this third vibration, right? Past, present, future, bringing us into totality. Inhale. I want us to use our breath to bring us back, fluttering our eyes open, and just coming back into the space that we're in, right? Looking at the symbol again and just seeing what it means for us. I think that that's the most important thing, the most significant part of symbols, right? It's just allowing ourselves, our spirit, our intuition, right? That womb-based force that just gives us that inner knowing to interpret what we see, okay? That's why our ancestors communicated in symbols. Symbols are eternal in their nature, right? We can interpret them. I'm going to be sharing with you my interpretations, but remember that everything is subject to your own intuition and what you feel, right? So now I'm showing this, we're going to be moving in threes, right? This Trinity energy. We have on the screen in front of us 3 symbols. Ankh, which we just discussed, Uja, and Seneb to the right. Uja in the center is the flame, okay? Seneb is interpreted as the healing symbol, right? You can see that curve that we normally would do in what the practice that we know today as yoga, right? A lot of these symbols that we're looking at are symbols that are eternal, but they have root in this African origin point, this origin story that's really been forgotten and really isn't being acknowledged. So we're really honoring humanity's ancestors. We're honoring our roots by remembering these symbols. Ankh, life, eternity. Uja, the flame, is prosperity, is abundance, right? We're remembering that first time that we witnessed the flame. I'm talking about our genetic memory, right? We're going back into that sensation, these things that we take for granted right now, imagining and really placing ourselves into the moment where fire was harnessed, right? And all of the magic and all of the greatness that we've been able to craft and create because of this power. And realizing within us why this symbolizes prosperity and abundance, right? And remembering to just fill ourselves with our breath throughout this process, right? Making sure we're comfortable, still being conscious of the energy flow through our spines, in particular our crowns, right? Because we're really entering into a divine space, because we're honoring the divinity within us, right? By honoring ourselves, honoring our ancestors, and the continuum. This Sankofa experience Sankofa is a word in the Akan, is a symbol in a symbol system known as the Adinkra, right? So it shows this continuum of these symbols that our ancestors use, our ancient ancestors use, to current day West African symbols, right? And Sankofa represents going back to bring forward, right? Looking back to bring forward the truth. And Seneb is the healing symbol. So we can think about in our movement practices when we do our forward fold, we can see that in that symbol. We can also see that our ancestors used the symbol as a representation of the healers. They wore a scarf around their necks, and one side of the scarf was extended. Okay, so it became a symbol of healing, of vitality. Okay. And I want us to remember this because we're going to flow out and into movement. And I want us to remember the significance, right? It's important for us to go back into depth and substance and not be superficial in our movements. moving forward. We want to always internalize that these movements, these postures mean something. Okay? I just wanted to show us a depiction on the temple walls, right? Of this carved in stone, and not even carved. You can see that this is literally lifted out of stone. So the carving was around these symbols, right? And sitting with the significance of that as we look at some more images, because now I really want us to really center ourselves in the womb, right? Because through the womb we feel all things. Sometimes we struggle with the womb space because it is very magnetic and we feel everything. Because innately, those of us who have wombs, we're connected to the cosmos. That body that you see arced there was the symbol of what our ancestors called Nut. There were times when this body was depicted with stars across it. So I'm showing another symbol so you can see. And again, I want us to note that we're looking at symbols that are in Trinity, right? We have the feminine arced over the masculine principle that is laying below, right? So we have Nut, where we have the heavens, the cosmos, space, right? The womb. We also have Geb, the earth. And in our ancestral context, Geb, the earth, was a masculine principle. And I think even in logic, we can really sense why that may be when we see the erectness of the earth for things to defy gravity and to grow, right? There is something intrinsically masculine about that. And the symbol is usually shown with the male principle with the erection, rising forward, rising upward, to symbolize fertility, right? And this energy that is holding its arms up in the air and connecting the heavens and the earth with that feather above was the child. That was Shu. Shu is what we consider to be the air, right? The atmosphere. So when we're breathing, I want us now to think about it in the context of Shu, right? Because it now becomes that eternal principle that is connecting the heavens and the earth, our earthly and our spiritual lives, right? Remembering Shu. And when we think about these intentional vibrations, we want to also remember that our ancestors were very intentional. The word Shu, you can almost feel through that vibration. You can definitely feel through that vibration, the atmosphere and the air, right? And we're remembering that this isn't a dividing principle, it's a connecting principle, right? So there we have the Trinity here. We're bringing in our consciousness of Nut, the cosmic womb, right? The heavens, the star body. And we're remembering that Nut is arcing over Geb because really the earth is in the cosmos, right? So when we want to really root ourselves in the womb and we're rooting ourselves in space and time, it's all relative to motion, right? Our entire solar system, this entire galaxy that we know, the universe, the multiverse, the many universes that may exist, we know that when we speak of this womb, the womb holds all within it, okay? So sometimes as we're pulling in that energy, as we're feeling these things, and sometimes it doesn't always make sense, it's not always a personal thing that we're feeling. And it's important for us to remember this wisdom so that we don't get boggled down, so we don't start carrying that weight in our shoulders, so we don't become heavy, right? So as this consciousness is coming into us, I want us to remember our breath and allow our breath to really pull us through our crowns up into Nut and our sit bones. The base of our spine is really being pulled by gravity and grounded into Geb. And we're gonna bring in Shu as we do this deep inhale. Okay? We're gonna exhale. And I want us to look at a more terrestrial, more physical, family-oriented depiction of this Trinity and this energy, because our ancestors showed this Trinity in so many different ways. This symbol, these symbols that we see in front of us, it's very important for us to remember the original vibrations that were used to represent these forces and these elements of nature, because we have been told on many occasions that these are gods and goddesses, and there are all these misrepresentations and misinterpretations of really what is just natural energy and a deep reverence for nature, right? And in that, this Trinity shows the divinity of humanity, right? And I want us to inhale here. And at this point, I really want us to exhale any preconceived notions and thoughts that we may have, because a lot of us hold in the depths of our souls some chains and some locks around who we are as humans, as beings in the flesh on this planet. You know, any ideas of us being sinners. I really want us to really elevate and transcend those thoughts, because what we think is what we are, all right? And our ancestors very intentionally depicted us as reflections of divine forces and divine elements that are indwelling within us, because we are the cosmos. Remember, we are a reflection of the divine, okay? In these images, we have three depictions here. We have Ast, which the Greek interpreted as Isis, so that's Ast. We have Asar, which is shown in the center of all three of these images, right? I wanted to show us some original images so that we could see how our ancestors actually depicted in stone and in gold and other precious natural minerals, right? You see the lapis lazuli on the image that has the gold sculpture. And then on the left, on one side, and we have on the right, on one depiction, Heru. In two images, Heru is shown with the head of a falcon, or a mask of a falcon. And this is a tradition that still exists to this day in West Africa here. And not only in West Africa, but all throughout the continent, right? And many other tribes and traditions, even on Turtle Island, in Central and South America. The native and indigenous cultures use masks and crowns, right? To depict natural forces, right? So the falcon is Heru, right? And Heru represents that falcon precision. The falcon is the highest flying bird. It can look directly into the sun, right? So it really has that deep intrinsic solar aspect to it. And Heru is very precise. When it sees its target from a distance, it can precisely aim at its target and reach it, right? So when we think of these symbols, I want us to see how they really just represent ways of being, things that can really encourage us, uplift us when we remember that we have this within us, right? It's a very different way of perceiving the divine when we look at the mirror and we see the divine within us. as opposed to seeing the divine outside of us and how we move and engage in space and time, right? In these bodies, how we treat these bodies, right? And finally, I wanted to share a close-up, because you can see it on the other images of Asar holding the Hek and the Keka, which many people know as the crook and the flail, okay? And the crook and the flail represent giving and receiving. So our ancestors were rooted in nature to this extent because they were farmers and gardeners. And it's very important for us to know that while today farmers and gardeners aren't necessarily revered, that everything that we have as civilization, right? All of the technology from these devices that we're using, knowing that they're powered by crystal technology, everything that we experience is based in nature, right? And that observation and that stillness that allowed us to get to the point where we could actually observe the stars and create astronomy, astrology, that we could observe nature and create all of the various sciences and mathematics and all of these things that we have today. It took for that first person, that first family, which we're going to go back to Ast, Asar, and Heru, because Asar and Ast were known as the ones in this mythology who brought farming to the people and initiated the transition from being nomadic, right, hunters and gatherers, into a farming culture. And from that farming culture, we got the greatest architects who have ever existed on this planet. To this day, the marvels that these ancestors created in this Mecca, right? This fusion where you had a multicultural expression, where you had people from all over the planet traveling to this central point to study at these great universities, right? Because of these two who brought forward the planting of the seed, right? And on this new moon, the new moons are generally associated with the planting of seeds, right? It's a new cycle. We plant in hopes that as the moon waxes, right, things grow and we can harvest at the climax, right? And we have that cyclical vibration, right? Of that inhale and that exhale, right? Because then the moon wanes again and we go back into our new moon. And I want us to remember this symbolism of this Hek and Nekeka. And I actually want us to put our hands in this position, right? We're going to take our right hand and we're going to put it over the left hand as we create this fist. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can actually be present and show. Okay, this is the position that we're holding here. And the right hand was holding the Nekeka, the left hand was holding the Hek, okay? The crook receives. So as I said, these were farming tools. So this was used by herders. So you seen it have the hook, and that was the gathering, right? And the flail is what moved energy, right? As they were moving the herd. So I want us to think about this symbolism in our own lives, right? Because we are the ones that are gathering and that are moving energy. So I want us to have that consciousness as we take in a few more breaths. We're gonna take these as lunar breaths, okay? The inhale, we're gonna think of ourselves here, rooted in this new moon, right? And we're gonna wax ourselves to fill our lungs to its full state, and then wane ourselves out. We'll take another inhale and take ourselves to our full moon. Exhale. Bringing ourselves back to our normal. Inhale. Full. Exhale. No. Okay. So I know that we are over our time, but I want to invite everyone who's here, who wants to continue and move into movement and flow based on what we saw and what I shared. We're gonna go ahead and flow into those movements, okay? So first I want us to now come onto our knees. Okay, I'm gonna move myself back so you can see. All right, I'm gonna come onto our knees, and instead of having our toes tucked, our toes out, excuse me, we're gonna have our toes tucked underneath us. So we're sitting like this. Okay, and we're gonna allow, our feet hold a lot of energy. We're gonna allow ourselves to really just massage our feet. We're gonna thank our feet for carrying us each and every day, so humbly and powerfully, right? Just feel into the bottoms of your feet, wherever you feel you need, right? Clearing that energy, right? Massaging our feet a little bit. And we're going to straighten ourselves up, allowing our breath to really keep us upright. Okay. And we're going to take our left foot and bring the foot in line with where our knee is. Okay. Our right hand is going up with the fist, and our left hand has a fist going across as such, right? We're going to take a few breaths here in this position, sending the breath wherever we need it. Maybe you might need it to create some stability in our leg. We're keeping our pelvic bones as straight as possible and aligned, allowing that air to really circulate. Send that breath into that right arm, giving it a little more power and strength. This symbol was carved into stone and sculptures. And I want us to just allow our breath to just interpret that for ourselves. I'm not going to give any interpretation to what this symbolizes. I want us to really just feel it for ourselves. Inhale. We're going to bring that right arm down by our right knee. Left arm is going to the side of our left foot. And we're now going to switch, bring our left foot back, left knee down, right foot forward. And now we're going to take that left hand and we're going to put that fist up. We're going to keep ourselves at a 90-degree angle with our right arm now, with that fist on our heart. Remembering to use your breath to really lift you, so you're not really sitting on that foot, so that you're really using that strength in your legs and that breath to bring that energy to that arm that is in the air. And allow your breath to interpret and feel what this position feels for you and symbolizes for you. Take an inhale in. Exhale, we're going to bring that hand down. Next hand down, we're going to now bring that right foot back. We're back on our knees here. We're tuck our toes, and we're coming up, keeping our hands here for stability. Our knees are still bent here. And now we're going to bring those hands gently off of the ground, and we're going to fold them Gonna hold our elbows here, and we are here in Seneb, right? We're gonna straighten those legs. You're gonna remember that symbol that we saw, our feet, our hips distance apart. And our breath is sending that energy through this curve in our spine. We're just gonna allow our heads to hang low. I want us to remember the intention that we set for ourselves for the 7-day self-care challenge. Okay, and if you aren't in the 7-day self-care challenge, just thinking of whatever the intention is that you have for yourself for this cycle. Okay, for this moment, I want us to inhale, sink a little more deeply in, exhale. Surround yourself with that intention. I really want you to use the power of your spirit to really immerse yourself in that intention. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? That intention that you set. All right? Really grounding ourselves in that intention and surrounding ourselves with it, knowing that it's here, it's now, it's in our choices that we make. We can carry this intention with us throughout this next cycle, throughout eternity. We can give to ourselves in this way. We can receive from ourselves. Right? We're going to loosen those knees a little bit, right? And we're going to cup our pelvic bone, and we're going to slowly stack our spine back up, one vertebrae at a time. Take it really slow. Allow your breath to really just fill you and release. And just slowly come up to this upright position here. And now we're going to take our arms and butterfly them up. Bring our hands together, and we're going to zip ourselves up. So we'll bring both of our feet together, and our hands are going straight up beside our ears if possible, touching and pulling all the way up. All right. This position is the tekken, otherwise known through the Greek interpretation as the obelisk, right? The tekken. The tekken is a monument that our ancestors have constructed, or I should say erected, because they're made out of solid stone, okay? Carved out of solid granite. And I want us to remember that weight, that power, that strength, as we pull ourselves up through our crown, up to Nut, to that internal and external cosmic womb, and allowing gravity to ground us and root us into Geb, the earth. Right? Making sure our weight is equally distributed on our feet, not leaning too much into our toes or our heels, making sure we have that stability, keeping the core tight, sending that breath all throughout our body, from our core, our womb space, traveling down and up. Going to the tips of our toes, to the tips of our fingers, and then we're going to open our arms out, keeping our legs together. We're just opening our arms out and holding that here. And this is going to be our okay? Our is going to bring us into closing this flow. So we're going to face our palms up to the sky, to Nut, and we're going to come up onto our toes as we bring our arms up. I want you to see what I'm doing. I'm bringing the arms up, and I'm creating that womb space overhead as I'm going up on I'm elevating on my toes. And then I'm going down on the exhale. Palms are going down. Inhale, palms are facing up, and we're going up with our toes, core is tight. And we're curving into our ankh overhead. On the exhale, our palms are going up as we separate our arms out and extend. Okay. I'm going to take one more inhale here. Before we go back up, I want us to remember the symbol. Okay, remember the totality of this Trinity, whether we see that as past, present, future, or we see that as mother, father, child, or we see that as earth, heavens, space, cosmos, right, and atmosphere. And we're going to inhale and we're going to go up into our rising on our tippy toes, holding that space, allowing the breath to fill, and coming back down. All right, now we can just shake it off. All right. And I want to thank you all for being here and staying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sis.
Thanks. Appreciate you all. Have a happy new moon. Blessings.